3 weeks ago, the IndyCar Series raced the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. This week, we travel across the globe to the town of Motegi, Japan. With just one race before the 90th running of the Indianapolis 500, these drivers look to take the Motegi momentum back to Indy. Today, live from Twin Ring Motegi in the land of the rising sun, it's the Indy Japan 300. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lee alongside Larry Rice. And Larry, it's momentum, the final tune-up before the Indianapolis 500.
It certainly is. And Dan Weldon used the momentum he gained by winning here to carry him into the Indianapolis 500 and win there. It's very important to go in on a high. Sam Hornish, Roger Penske, and Helio Castroneves, these guys are on a high here. So far, they've had very quick times in all the practices. Sam Hornish did crash, but so far, Team Penske has dominated here. That's exactly what they want to do going into Indianapolis.
Well, there's a smiling Dan Weldon who won here last year and the year before. But here is the fastest guy from practice. But remember, qualifying was rained out. But by virtue of him being first in the point standings, he has the pole position. This is Castroneves, and his teammate Sam Hornish was second fast in practice, but his practice session lasted about 20 seconds too long.
Yeah, it certainly did. He backed that thing into the wall, hit very hard, straight backwards, completely destroyed this car, so he had to pull out his backup car and get it ready to go. The same car he ran at St.
Petersburg. So that is actually a road racing car that they have ready now for Motegi.
Right. So we'll see if Team Penske can carry through what's been going on so far.
Well, there's Castroneves, who won the last outing 3 weeks ago on the road course at St. Petersburg and was second at Homestead, so he leads the point standings. And a flyby. I would like to be in that thing. I know you wouldn't, but I'd like to be in that, Larry.
Well, it's a beautiful sight. You can see a lot of speed, a lot of agility up there in the sky right now.
It's nice to see blue sky above our heads, too, and not the rain clouds that we've been plagued with over the past few days here.
Well, this is
final lap last year. Dan Weldon winning 2 years ago, winning again last year. And, of course, he used that momentum as a springboard on to win at Indianapolis. And don't forget, Danica Patrick qualified second here last year, finished fourth, used that momentum for a good month of May.
Yeah, Dan Weldon won here 2 years in a row, so he's had terrific years. Won the first race ever in his career right here at Motegi. So
and gave Honda the first win at their track.
Right, so he's had a great 2 years here at Motegi, and he'd like to see that through again here today.
There's a look at Weldon's car. Now remember, he switched teams over the winter months. He had a contract ready for him to sign with Andretti Green, looked at the option of going to Formula One, did not want to be a test driver in Europe, and as a result had a chance to go with Ganassi and struck a deal. And I think surprised a lot of people that thought he was going to re-up with Andretti Green.
I think you're right. I don't think anybody expected him to leave Green Team Green if he stayed here. But obviously Chip Ganassi wanted him, made him a very good offer.
Well, qualifying yesterday, of course, was on the schedule, but Mother Nature said, I think not. That was the look just about 24 hours ago. So heavy rain. We're actually on top of a mountain. It's rolling countryside. We're up on top of a mountain, and rain can frequently be a problem here at Twin Ring Motegi.
Yeah, it rained pretty much all day Thursday, and we got some qualifying or some practice in, and the same thing yesterday.
Well, we line them up on points, and here are the points after 2 of the 14 races. Castroneves with a win and a second place so far has that 23-point margin over Scott Dixon. Weldon, last year's champion, now third. Then Hornish, the two-time champion, is in fourth as you take a look at the rest of the top 10. Well, Danica, of course, finished 4th last year at this racetrack after starting 2nd.
The strategy is to move up as quick as we can and make up some positions on the track and you know, try not to get too far off probably in the pit stop strategy unless we have to. And then in that case, then we risk it and we do the best we can with that. And I got to say, it's worked out before.
Hey, thanks for your time and good luck today.
Thank you.
Guys?
Well, keep in mind that she starts back in the pack in 14th position. Now, remember, on the points basis, she and teammate Buddy Rice did not compete that first race at Homestead. Those cars were pulled in respect for their teammate who had been fatally injured in practice, Paul Dana. So they're one race short of these other guys.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons she starts so far back, and it's going to have a long way to go to get up front in this race.
We anticipate a great crowd here this afternoon. That's something that we talk about, a difference between this track and Indianapolis. Of course, downshifting here, you won't see that at Indianapolis.
Yeah, and this paperclip effect, this very tight corners 3 and 4, the wide open corners up there in 1 and 2, quite a variance. And you're going downhill down that back straightaway into 3 and 4. So that's the highest speed that you get going into 3 and 4. So you're heavy braking and you downshift at least 2 gears going into 3 and 4.
Well, there's Eddie Carpenter again, starting back in the 19th position, his first race of the season for Vision Racing. That's a look off the car of Danica Patrick. Will start in the 14th position. She was starting outside row 7, so unlike last year where she had the second starting position, she has some cars to negotiate.
Last year she ran extremely well here, was right up front almost all the time. This year she's pretty much been in mid-pack during the practice sessions. Kosuke
Masura will carry it on board for us, and of course he will be the odds-on favorite from the crowd here.
Yeah, he's got a 6th starting position, so that's a good spot for him.
There's a look at Jeff Simmons, who was just introduced a couple of weeks ago as the driver of the number 17 car of the Ray Hall Letterman entry. And since he has no points, he'll be starting at the back of the pack. He does have some experience, ran Indianapolis last season, has a couple other championship car starts.
And he did crash in the final practice session. So he damaged the car. They had to get the backup car out. So his introduction with this team, not as good as it could have been.
Well, once again, these cars are running on a 10% ethanol mixture. And next season, they'll race 100% ethanol, which is a corn-based fuel.
Yeah.
Which is becoming more and more popular in the United States, considering the price of gasoline.
Yeah, and the Indy Racing League is committed to going to pure ethanol next year. So that's a big commitment, first of any racing series in the United States.
Dan Weldon, you can see how wide this racetrack is. Very, very wide.
It's the picture going down into 3 and 4. And this, it doesn't look all that sharp, but compared to turns 1 and 2, this corner is a very, very, very sharp corner. And you have to really get on the brakes because, as we said earlier, you're going downhill into this corner, so it's the fastest part of the race.
Once again, on the points scale, no qualifying. Castro Nevitz, your points leader, will start inside row 1 alongside Scott Dixon, who won the championship a couple of years ago. Dan Weldon, last year's champion. Sam Hornish, a 2-time champion. Of course, Weldon's a 2-time winner here on this racetrack. They'll occupy row 2. The third row, Tony Kanaan, the champion of this series 2 years ago. And there is the guy that everybody's going to be cheering for. Matsura will start outside in row 3. Brian Herta for Andretti Green inside row 4. Scott Sharp, who won this race a couple of years ago, will be starting outside row 4. In the 5th row, Felipe Giafone for AJ Foyt Enterprises. Dario Franchitti for Andretti Green. In the 6th row on the inside, it's Vito Mira. Panther Racing has a new paint scheme, a new sponsor for this weekend. And Thomas Schechter in the other Vision Racing entry. Tomas Ingi for Cheever Racing, number 51. He'll be a teammate of Eddie Cheever at Indianapolis, and there's Danica Patrick starting 14th in the Ray Hall Letterman entry. Buddy Lazier, a former champion of this division, former Indy 500 winner, starting inside row 8. Outside, a rookie, P.J. Chesson. Row 9, another rookie, Marco Andretti, driving for his dad's team. And Buddy Rice, remember he set out that first race, did not race at Homestead, so he's down in points. And 2 drivers starting their first race of the season, Ed Carpenter and Jeff Simmons, occupying the 10th row.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how quickly, especially Franchitti, who starts back in 10th, and Danica Patrick, who starts back in 14th, see if they move up very quickly. Danica was very quick here last year. And of course, Franchitti has really been quick on the ovals over the last couple of years.
And realistically, these teams have to go back to their numbers from last year and set these cars up, because rain has really blotted a lot of their practice time.
Yeah, they got about 90 minutes yesterday. Is really the only real good track time they've had. So you can see everybody a little anxious. The first two rows lined up there very close to each other, very early on, going into 1 and 2. A lot of times they are kind of straggled out until they get down into the 3 and 4 area. These guys are lined up pretty well, though, pretty early on this parade lap.
Inside row 3 is Tony Kanaan. The last 3 seasons, he has led 17% of all the laps he's contested. Yet he's not led 1 lap so far this season.
Yeah, it's been a tough year for him. It's been a tough year for Team Green in general.
Well, they got lined up in pretty good fashion, but it's a ragged start as they come off the corner to take the green, and Castro Neves will get the good jump. But look at Hornish on the high side going for second. Can't make the pass, though. He'll take third into turn 1.
Well, Hornish was Castro Neves was taking no chances. He got on the gas way early back there in 3 and 4. And really just got a huge lead coming off of 4 before they ever got to the start-finish line.
Had 7 different leaders back in the race last year, and 2 years ago we had 4 leaders for the fewest. 13 lead changes last year, and you've got Castro Neves out in front, Dixon right second, and here comes Kanaan on the inside pass. Takes the position from Hornish.
Getting off of turn number 4 is going to be very important. Look at Hornish right away, comes back on the outside. Kanaan beat him down the front straightaway and into 1 and 2. They were wide open through there, and Hornish went right back to the outside and got back around him. We talked about this racetrack being a compromising setup. You have to compromise a little bit, and woohoo, somebody got really close to the wall up there.
That was Schechter.
Yeah.
That black and gray car, that was Schechter. There's Masura on the inside, the 55 car, and there goes the Klein Tools on the outside.
Yeah, I think that was Franchitti.
That's Franchitti.
They got way out there.
Franchitti tucked up behind his teammate now. Right with Matsura. He's back in 7th position. Kanaan and Franchitti battle for position up in front of him. Castro Neves has led from the start.
Boy, we talked about watching Franchitti come from his 10th starting spot. He hasn't disappointed anybody. He got way wide in that one corner, almost got into the fence, and then went right on to pass Kanaan going down the next straightaway.
Kanaan was getting some great starts and restarts last season. Hasn't really happened for him this year.
Well, I have to tell you, so far as aggressiveness goes, there's been no match for Franchitti.
Yeah.
He has been very, very aggressive early on in the going.
After 4 laps, Castro Neves over Dixon, just as they started. Then Weldon, Hornish, Franchitti, Kanaan, Matsura, Hurta. 9th is Schechter. 10th is Mira. Patrick is up to 11th after starting 14th.
Well, Schechter's has got a good run going here too. There's
that new color scheme on number 4, Vito Mira, back there in 10th position. That's Schechter right in front of him in the silver and the black Vision car. And that number 4 car, we've seen yellow for so many seasons.
It's never been any other color. This is the first time. Well, I take that back. It was silver.
That silver and black at one time.
It was a Pennzoil silver.
Platinum car.
Platinum, but yeah, other than
look
that.
At the run Vitor is going to get on Schechter down to the inside, and he'll make the pass.
Going into 3 and 4.
Boy, he made that look easy, didn't he? Whoa, Schechter lost the front end on that one.
He had to get out of the throttle. Down here in 3 and 4, a very tricky place. When you have to get out of the throttle like that, it costs you a lot of ground.
Danica goes on by, so she picks up a position, so she goes to 10th. There's Scott Sharp. Sharp, who's starting his 118th IRL event.
Schechter, after getting a really good start, lost 2 spots all there at one time. Going too wide down there in 3 and 4, going through there out on the outside is a very difficult thing to do. You've really got to have your car set up well, and you got to make sure you don't get too high and get in the marbles. It's a good place to crash if you do that. Matsura having a good run. He's in the 7th spot.
Once again up in front, Castro Neves. Take a look at Danica, who is now in 10th position. Remember, she started here 2nd last year, finished 4th, and got a lot of recognition, and then she carried that momentum to Indianapolis and almost stole the pole position at Indy.
Yeah, she's had a good run so far. But her teammate, Buddy Rice, having a good run so far. So he started way in the back of the pack.
Well, he's up to 13th right now. Behind Giaffoni. Giaffoni drives for AJ. So we have 3 Ray Hall Letterman entries in this race with the addition of Simmons.
And you see Danica Patrick, Vito Mira in front of her. And you can listen. Front through 1 and 2, no lift. It's all flat out through 1 and 2.
Let's watch her hand, see if she downshifted. Well, got off that shot.
She will downshift. Most of them are downshifting twice going into 3 and 4. That's how much it is. And then they upshift coming right out, and then they upshift again almost at the end of the front straightaway. Then run through 1 and 2, and then all the way down the back straightaway in high gear.
After 10 laps, Dixon is in second now, 1.4 seconds behind Castroneves. Weldon third, 1.7 back. Cornish is 2.5 seconds back in 4th position. So right now, Castroneves, you had to know when Penske got the Honda that the Penske boys were going to be tough this season.
Well, you know, we talked a lot last year about how well they did with the Toyota engine that was definitely under horsepower. So you're right. When you give them an equal playing field, the captain has always been the guy to beat, and it looks like this year it's going to be no different. Although I think Ganassi has proven so far with Weldon and Dixon that they're going to be just as tough or tougher.
Well, of course, Ganassi has won at Indy, but no one has won as a car owner as many times as Penske. 13 times has won that race as a car owner.
And that's why going into Indy, if he's got everything equal, you got to give him the nod. He always seems to have the strategy, always seems to have the luck. And you can't really call it luck. You call it preparation. That's what wins Indianapolis. No matter how you look at it, what kind of things happen, if you're prepared, you win. And that's what he's done over the years.
I've always heard Johnny Rutherford describe luck as opportunity, meaning preparation.
Right.
And Penske's always prepared.
He always is. And he's gone into that race before and right away put his 2 drivers on different strategies with pit stops. And he never has, that I remember, at least in recent years, had more than 2 drivers. When everybody else would stick a 3rd car in, he would sometimes lease that car, but he would never run it as a team.
The last couple of years, he's leased a 3rd car to Sam Schmidt Motorsports. And
right.
Don't forget, he had 1 year, he had 3 drivers, and all 3 occupied the front row.
Right. Well, he had 1 year that he completely missed the race, too, which was
95.
the only time that ever happened.
Yes.
He was a
That was a huge surprise, yes. But once again, his driver continues to lead this thing. After 15 laps, the lead is up to 1.7 seconds over second place. Castroneves, of course, was victorious 3 weeks ago on the road course. And he had failed last year on 3 road course races to even make the podium. So that was a big win for Castroneves in his home state of Florida.
You can see there the margin of his lead.
Good battle developing for second, but look at that gap between first and second.
Yeah, he's pulled out into a nice lead, and I think those 2 guys back there, they want to stay close, but they're not really that concerned that he's away that far ahead.
A little too early to worry about a 2.5 lead.
As long as you're in the hunt, as long as you're running in the same half lap with him, there's a lot of time left. Got pit stops. Interesting enough, this racetrack has a lot of yellow flags. I think in all the time we've run here, there's only been 1 green flag pit stop. So most of the pit stops have come because of yellow flags. We'll see if that holds true today.
The most cautions we had was in the 03 race, 64 laps from 9 yellow flag periods. And 2 years ago, we only had 4 yellow flag periods for 23 laps.
Most of the time I think they have been able to pit under yellow flag conditions. If they get to pitting under the green flag conditions, it could change the complete complexion of this race and turn it into a fuel mileage race.
Can't tell you the back of the pack. Buddy Lazier has dropped back to 20th position. Simmons back there in 19th. Carpenter is 18th. And Chesson and Andretti. Andretti 16th, Chesson 17th. So the 3 rookies are near the back of the pack.
Frankitti's gotten around Hornish, so Hornish obviously not handling near as well as he would like. Kanan right now right behind him. So Sam Hornish here early in the going, not nearly as quick as he had been
Well, keep in mind, though, that's that backup car that
Yeah.
they had to switch over from road race configuration to this track.
And there is a lot of difference in those cars, and they switched as much as they could. There's still, I'm sure, a few things that they could not switch, but you know, it would make a difference, most definitely.
Well, Kanaan labors back in 6th position, and as we said, over the last 3 seasons, Tony Kanaan had led 17% of all the laps he contested, but yet he's not led one race or one lap so far this season.
And he was catching Hornish. Then all of a sudden, Hornish looked like he got a little breath of fresh air and pulled away from Kanaan and started catching Franchitti. The tires will change, and as each segment goes, they're 20 laps into this segment now. So the cars will change. As they get lighter, they'll change the handling a little bit, and just the tire wear will make them change in the handling just a little bit.
We can tell you that Schechter has gotten back around Patrick. So Schechter goes to 10th, Patrick drops to 11th. Rice is up to 12th. Then Sharp is 13th, Giafoni is 14th. Tomas Inge is now 15th. And speaking of Inge, you talk about some jet lag and travel. He was testing in Australia when he got the call from Cheever to come and run this car. He had to fly back to the Czech Republic to get a visa. From there, he flew to Indianapolis, and from there to Motegi.
Yeah, he did a lot of traveling.
Ask him what day it is and where he is.
He did a lot of traveling just to make it here. No question about that.
And he will be in that second Cheever racing machine during the month of May. Eddie will be in the other one. Eddie, of course, the 98 Indy 500 champion who had been out of competition, out of the cockpit for 3 seasons. And, well, he never really explained why he came back this year.
No, he didn't. He just, you know.
He says, I own this race team. If I want to drive, I can.
Well, he ran Daytona in the 24 hours.
Oh, it's 24.
And he did fairly well. I think he got enthused again, and at that point, he had not hired a driver and thought he'd give it a try. We'll see after Indianapolis what he thinks. And you can see they're already in some lap traffic, so this will be an important part of the race, is how well they get through this lap traffic.
Well, Lazier's going to lap down. Simmons has. Chesson's about to go a lap down. Yeah, when you talk about Eddie Cheever again, going from Daytona on that road course to Indy is a huge difference, even for a former Indianapolis 500 champion who's been out of the cockpit for 3 years.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. You can see right here, Castroneves got caught. He's going to get past. He got caught behind Chesson, and Weldon goes by him as he had to get out of the throttle down there in 3 and 4. We said it was going to be an important part of the race. And Chesson did exactly the right thing. He went right to the bottom of the racetrack, stayed out of the way. But Castroneves got above him down there in 3 and 4, had to get way out of the throttle, lost all of his momentum. And when he did that, Weldon was on the hammer, coming off of turn number 4, just went on by.
So right now, for the first time, we have another leader. Weldon assumes the top spot. Live coverage from Twin Ring Motegi, where we're under our first yellow of the afternoon, coming out on lap 27. That is the remains of car 51, Tomas Inge. But we also have Ed Carpenter involved. So Inge is okay. You see him walk back to the cockpit, but extensive damage to that race car. You can see the safer barrier being employed here at Motegi.
Yeah, that's very early in the turn number 4. That's the turn 3 and 4 area that we've been talking about, where there've been a lot of crashes so far this year. And there is Ed Carpenter. Let's go back and take a look.
This was just moments ago. We'll take a look at what happened. Okay, now this is.
Yeah, this is the very end of the crash as Inge got into the wall, entering turns 3 and 4, came to rest right back there at the very beginning. And then Carpenter.
Did Carpenter get into some debris?
He could have got into some debris and then crashed as he crashed or ended up clear coming off at turn 4, clear around the other side.
Well, obviously the pits are open, and as you indicated, everybody will make a pit stop. We'll see if any adjustments are being made. Matsura in for 4 tires and fuel. And a quick adjustment to the front wing. He's away. Castroneves, Hornish away. Kanaan. Now let's see how they scramble from the pits and see what it does to the scoreboard.
Looks like everybody had a fairly decent pit stop. Didn't look like anybody had a whole lot of trouble.
But Castroneves gets back out and again goes to the top spot.
Well, that's not an unusual happening for Team Penske to beat everybody through there. So
we'll sort things out after that first pit stop. And again, Larry, a pit stop being made under yellow here at Twin Ring, which is pretty common for this racetrack, as we've talked before. Live coverage. The third race of a 14-race schedule. Of course, the final race before the 90th running of the Indianapolis 500. As we complete lap 31 under our first yellow of the afternoon. And there's the 14 car of Giafoni. They go to work on that rear wing.
Yeah, they're going to try to raise the rear wing in the back of that car to give him a little more downforce on the back. He obviously is complaining that it's loose. There's AJ right there. He's talking on the radio, and as usual, doesn't look real happy with what's going on the racetrack.
Chewing that gum.
That's right. Doesn't.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you're a recent race fan, Larry, new to the sport, you really can't appreciate what A.J. Foyt did during his driving career.
No.
From sprints, midgets, IndyCars, stock cars, Le Mans, it doesn't matter. He won in everything.
Yeah, he certainly did.
Well, there's Team Penske, the 35 seasons so far. Look at 124 wins since 1969. 13 victories in the Indy 500, 3 of the last 5. What a phenomenal record for this man and his two drivers this season. Castroneves, a two-time Indy winner, and Sam Hornish would love to win at Indy.
Yeah, Sam Hornish is a guy who's won the championship. He's won a lot of races. He's had terrible, terrible luck at Indianapolis, and he hopes that this year might be the year that he changes that luck.
Well, we're going to be under yellow for a couple of more laps. A lot of debris up there in the end. Up there in turn 4 from the 51 car of Ingy.
Yeah, only speculation. We really didn't see the accident. It happened when we weren't watching that end of the racetrack, and either they touched wheels and Ingy got the short end of the stick, so to speak, or Carpenter came by and just ran through the debris and caused him to crash after he got through there. Because whatever happened. Ingy got in the wall very hard. Carpenter did a lot of damage, but did not hit the wall nearly as hard as Ingy did.
Well, right now the cleanup continues to get all the moisture off the racetrack. Of course, this is a traveling crew that travels to all the IndyCar Series events around the country and outside the country. The Indy Japan 300. And right now we're working on lap 35 under the first yellow of the afternoon. We've had our first round of pit stops, and there's a look at the damage to car 51. So yeah. Eddie Cheever is getting a cell phone car and a call and being told that his car was pretty well torn up.
Yeah, he hit twice at least. He hit hard on the left rear and again on the right front. So that car was hit the wall at least twice and did a lot of damage, especially up in the right front corner area.
See, they got the cars off the track right away, but it was all the moisture that the cars had dumped, especially this car here. They're trying to sop up with the oil dry. And so the pace vehicle remains on the racetrack. Johnny Rutherford, the 3-time Indy 500 champion and driving coach for the Indy Racing League, driving the pace car here this afternoon.
All of you people down in New Zealand, we hear that Tiger Woods, our golfer from the U.S., is down there going to run a saloon car down in your neck of the woods this weekend.
I don't think he's going to give up golf and take up racing. Actually, he was down there. His caddy was getting married, and his caddy races on occasion, and he somehow talked Tiger into strapping into a saloon car and racing in a charity event.
Well, that'll be interesting to see what he thinks of our sport after hitting those little white balls all over cow pastures all over the world.
Well, he can hit that white ball across the cow pasture about as well as anybody.
That's right, and that's what makes him all that money. So that's what it's all about.
Well, there's a look at Masura. Will restart back in the 7th position.
Both drivers have been released from the medical center, so that's good news. We saw them get out.
So they climb out on their own.
Yeah, but power. Just to know that they've been checked out and are okay, that's also very good.
38 laps. Make that 36 laps now complete.
While we got a second, we'll say hello to Mike and Carol Raymond down in Sydney, Australia. Watch us down there. They get to watch us in the afternoon for a change. A lot of times we come into that part of the world in weird hours, but this time they don't. Willie and Glennis Kay also down in New Zealand. Say hello to them.
Of course, it's early afternoon here in Motegi. East Coast time in the United States. It's a little after midnight. So you see that the cleanup is almost complete. We're almost ready to go back to racing. Good overview of this racetrack. Very, very wide, fast turn in turns 1 and 2. Very tight down in 3 and 4. And then for 37 of 200 laps, there you have Casper Evans back out in front, leading for the second time this afternoon. Weldon, who led 5 laps before that pit stop, will be second on the restart. Then Dario Franchitti and his teammate Tony Kanaan occupy 3rd and 4th. Sam Hornish back in 5th. Well, 26 came back in the pits to top off Andretti, but then he was back in 14th position. Also, Giafoni came in to top off with fuel, and really nothing to lose there because they were at the back of this pack anyway.
Well, and of course, if you're in the back, you have nothing to lose, and you know, if you can somehow get off sequence and be there at the end of the race with a full load of fuel when everybody else has got to come in, it could make a huge difference. So you're right. Nothing to lose, everything to gain for those two guys.
You see that Weldon started 3rd, ran 3rd through the first 18 laps before he ascended to the lead. And then on that pit stop, dropped back to 2nd position. Look how wide this racetrack is. There's the 10-degree banking, which is just about the same as it is in Indianapolis. Indy is 9 degrees, 12 minutes.
It'd be interesting to see on this restart that Dixon, who has gone back to 6th, if he can move back up. I think Franchitti is pretty strong. I think Dixon may be faster than Hornish and Kanaan, but he may have trouble when he gets back up to Franchitti, because Franchitti's been very strong.
There's Kanaan back in 4th position. We're told now from race control they should get the frill flag indicating 1 more lap before we go green as they come by the flag stand this time.
Yeah, they've been under yellow for about 12 laps, if I'm not mistaken. So they've had a lot of yellow flag laps.
It'll be a 14-lap yellow.
14 laps.
Once they get the green flag.
Interesting to see. See Sam Hornish up there. He's, you know, there's a little psychology in that. You know, you might think, well, he's just kind of cleaning out the engine, trying to run it up there to the side of him. But the psychology is to make him think, I'm going to try to blow you off on the inside going into turn number 1, just to make him think a little bit about maybe holding a little tighter line to the inside. And who knows, Hornish might be thinking about going to the outside.
Well,
instead.
Hornish likes to run the outside.
Well, and that's, you know, like I said, there's a little bit of psychology goes on when you do that. When you run up under a guy and that right before the green flag falls, you're trying to make him think, I might do this when the green flag comes out.
Casper Evans got on the loud button very, very early on the initial start, but the crew stays right with him as he takes this screen to restart the race on lap.
Oh, crash.
1, 2, 3 cars. Upside down and back over. No, that's Simmons. That's Simmons. That's Simmons got upside down. That's Simmons.
Wow. It was Simmons who got upside down. See him moving around in the car. P.J. Chesson was involved in that.
Well, Scott Sharp lost the rear wing on his car.
So
Chesson in 91, Scott Sharp in 8, and Simmons had a rude introduction to this race team this weekend.
Boy, I guess.
And there's the P.J. Chesson car.
And if there is anything good out of this accident, it did happen at very slow speed. It did happen on the restart when it was.
But I'd like to see a replay to see how it did happen.
We'll probably see that here in a minute.
Somebody pick up the throttle, then check up and get hit from the rear?
I think that's what happened. It appeared that somebody got hit from behind and spun, and then everybody else was kind of in the middle of it after that.
Well, Sharp heads back to the pit lane to get a new rear wing for that car.
Your left rear tire is flat, so you'll have to go in and get that changed as well. So.
Well, Simmons walks away from his wreck car, and not for being upside down, not a great deal of damage to the race car.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It was an easy over.
It was a slow speed flip. You know, he was not running all that fast when he got upside down. Oops, they're not going to fix that thing very quickly, I don't think. Look at the left rear. It's he's broken.
Scott's getting out.
He's broken the upright on that thing back in the back, so he's not going to get that thing back out on the racetrack without a lot of work in the rear area. So it wasn't just the wing; it was the rear suspension as well that has a lot of damage.
Once again, the most caution periods we had back in 2003, 9 was 64 laps. We had 14 laps under yellow in that first, and this could be, well, it won't be as lengthy. There's not as much debris out there and probably not as much moisture.
See. Let's take a look and see if we can see exactly what happened.
Oh, Scott gets sideways right there.
Yep, Scott Sharp just
Scott started to lose it on his own. Now it looks like maybe Chesson started to check up.
That's what we saw. Chesson checked up, and Simmons was right behind him and didn't check up nearly as quick. I think that's what started those two guys.
Well, in this case here, all right, now watch Scott. Right there.
Yeah, he spun exactly what happened. Chesson got out. Chesson saw it. Simmons had no...
Well, he had no view. All he could see was Chesson right in front of him.
Absolutely no view of that. When Chesson got out of the throttle, he was so close, he just ran over him. There was another car that spun back there. I'm not sure who that was.
Well, Scott just lost it on his own.
Yeah, Scott Sharp just lost it. And it's easy to do coming off the corner like that. You're down a gear. You're trying to get on the throttle as quick as you can. You spin the tires, and the thing just gets sideways on you. And that's what happened to Scott Sharp. P.J. Chesson, as most people would, immediately he sees him spinning. He
checks up,
gets out of the throttle, and Jeff was just so close that he just couldn't miss him. He was Jeff Simmons was right behind him trying to get a run and make a pass on that start, and he was so close that he just couldn't miss him when he checked up.
But once again, you saw all three drivers climb out and walk away from their wrecked cars. So a good overview as our live coverage continues from the Indy Japan 300, the third race on our schedule. Of course, and we head back to Indianapolis, Indiana for the 90th running of the Indianapolis 500 on May the 28th. The field coming down through the pit lane because of the debris there along the front straightaway.
Yeah, we have 15 cars still running in the race after some damage to 3 cars in this incident. So we've had a lot of damage early on in the going. There's Matsura, the hometown favorite, obviously. Still
back in 7th position. There are no changes in positions, at least up at the front of the pack.
Right.
There are some in the back because of the departure of P.J. Chesson and Scott Sharp. Jeff Simmons. Yeah. There's the Simmons car.
What a tough break for him. His very first race here in Motegi.
Well, take a look again at the restart. Now, there is Scott Sharp on his own.
Yeah. And
who spun back there?
Jeff Simmons just ran over Chesson. When Chesson checked up, he was so close, he had no way to miss that. So it was a tough break for both those guys. Really.
That was Lazier that spun back there.
Yeah, he spun, didn't hit anything, kept going. He spun. So,
but in a case like that, your view is obscured. You've got that car directly in front of you. When he checks up, there's no place for him to go.
If you've never sat in an Indy car, it's hard to believe how small your vision is, both out front and through the mirrors.
They'll complete lap 48 this time by as the yellow laps start to count up here this afternoon. As Castor and Evans will have the start at the lead at the restart with Dan Weldon second, Franchitti, Tony Kanaan, and then Sam Hornish.
Yeah,
we were about after that last round of pit stops, about to go racing, and as the green came out, the yellow came back out.
Yeah, they didn't. They had about 100 feet of green flag racing there, and then it went back yellow. So basically, from lap 27 on, has been the yellow.
The yellow.
So it
went yellow on lap 27.
So they raced the last 20 laps or so, or haven't raced. They've been under the yellow flag the last 20 laps.
21 laps. that the 2 years ago they only had 23 laps of yellow from 4 yellow periods. We've had 2 yellow periods this afternoon on 21 laps of yellow.
And again, with the restart, I think Franchitti and Dixon are probably the 2 guys to watch, because Franchitti's going to be trying to move around and up towards the front, and Dixon, who lost a lot of spots on that last pit stop, he lost 3 spots. He's going to be trying to get back up there so he can be nearer the front. He might have made several changes to that car. That might be one of the reasons that he lost a couple spots. They took a little extra time to make some chassis adjustments, so we'll see if those have any effect. There you see a couple of more cars ducking into the pits, going to make a pit stop, load up on fuel.
Off sequence, there's Mira. And Schechter, you saw Schechter in the silver and black car. There's Mira in that new paint scheme for Panther Racing.
And this is a smart move. I mean, when Mira was up to 12th, I mean, he wasn't in the back of the pack, but it gives him a lot better chance to get off sequence and make something up.
There goes Schechter. But as you talk about him being in 12th position, you've lost 5 cars. There's only 15 cars running.
Right.
You're back on board with Weldon.
Well, we'll see when they do. Oh, it's
well, this is more than routine.
Yeah, remember they came in, they were working on that wing. They were pounding something on that wing. Now then they're clear underneath the rear end of the car doing something now. So whatever the problem is, you're right. It wasn't just a wing adjustment they had to work on before. It's something.
Now let's get a shot of AJ.
I'm not sure what they'd be working on down under there.
AJ Foyt, the only man to win the Indianapolis 500, the Daytona 500 stock car race, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that was always grating on Mario Andretti, because he won Daytona and the 500, but he never won at Le Mans. Live coverage. Just back under green. They've gone 1 lap under green, and Castroneves continues to lead by that margin over Weldon. Franchitti is 3rd, Kanaan is 4th, Hornish is 5th. Hornish running very, very high on the racetrack, which we've seen him do throughout the course of his career, much higher than everybody else. Look at that. See how high he was out there?
Look at Weldon, though. He is really on the hunt. And now
look at Castroneves doing the blocking.
Well, what they're trying to do, Castroneves runs through 1 and 2 very low, and down the back straightaway very low. But you have to get out very wide to get into 3 and 4, because if you don't, it makes that corner sharper, and it's much harder to negotiate. So I don't think he was blocking so much as he was trying to get out there to make a bigger arc out of turns 3 and 4. I think he'll do the same thing here. He'll stay right to the end, and then down near the end of the straightaway, he'll move back out. And even see, Weldon wasn't close enough. He didn't have to block him, but he moved way out there to make that corner an easier corner to get through. If you stay very low, it's way too sharp. You lose too many RPMs and too much momentum.
Of course, Weldon's smart enough to, what we say, go to school on LEO and know exactly what pattern he's running on each turn.
Well, you know, once they got started out, it looked like Weldon had a great chance to get around him there in the first 2 laps. But now that they've kind of got themselves straightened out, there you can see Franchitti shifted down 2 gears. He should be shifting up once about here. Yep, there's one. See the other one? Yep, right in there heading into 1. So they shift twice down that front straightaway and then run that gear all the way back around until they get down into turn 4 again.
Castroneves with that half-second margin now over Weldon. You're right with Franchitti back in 3rd position. That's Weldon right in front of him. Right in front of Weldon is Castroneves. Now, Castroneves has led all but 5 laps here. He led the first 24, then lost the lead for 5 laps before that round of pit stops. On the pit stop, he reassumed the top spot. And, of course, he's gone through another yellow flag section and maintains the top spot now in lap 58.
You can see all the cars fairly equal. Nobody's really way behind. Almost everybody's still on the same straightaway. So these guys still running very close, even though they might be back in 9th or 10th. They're not all that far behind the leaders.
You look at Rice right in front of Matsura, and right behind Matsura is Patrick. So the Rahal car is making a sandwich out of Matsura. He's back in 9th. Patrick is 10th. And here he comes back around the number 15 of Rice. So this is the battle for 8th position. Had him there for a moment, but Rice goes by on the inside.
Yeah, he just decided not to stay on that outside. 3 and 4 on the outside is not...
Here comes Danica on the inside, and almost contact between Danica and Matsura.
Yeah, he had to get out of the throttle. Once you get out of the throttle down there in 3 and 4, you lose so much momentum down that front straightaway, and it costs you a lot of ground for almost a whole lap. Now that he's kind of got his act together and going again, but...
yeah, Schechter right behind him. Danica pulled away on the corner.
Yeah, down in 3 and 4, she got through there much better than Matsura did.
There's Mira on the inside. That's that orange car right there.
Wow. Not sure what happened to him on the pit stop, but whatever he changed did not help him very much as he's going backwards very quickly.
Well, he's back there with Andretti, and Schechter's right in front of him there on the left side of your screen. Then Mira in the middle, and then Marco Andretti on the right side, on the top side of your screen. Lap 52.
And Marco Andretti struggling just a little bit here at this racetrack. Of course, he struggled the first couple of races. He only lasted a couple of laps in the very first race down at Homestead when he got black flag first of all in the very first lap, and then he broke something
on the first start.
Passed
several cars and got down below the white line, so he got black flag for that. And then he
crashed at St. Pete, so he's not had a great start to the season. So
here's Kanaan right behind Franchitti.
Wow. Franchitti saw him down there, decided just to let him go, getting into turn 4. So better to let him go and get back to the bottom than to try to race him on the outside. Again, 3 and 4 on the outside is just a very, very tough place to be.
And also that's your teammate, so it's kind of early in the race to race your teammate real hard.
Exactly. Now here comes Dixon right behind Franchitti. So again, Franchitti, he made some adjustments to his car that obviously weren't quite what he wanted.
Weren't to his liking now.
No, so he's having a little more trouble right now than he was having the first segment. He was very fast, came up through the field very, very quickly, but since that pit stop has not been nearly as good.
Keep in mind, early in the race, Castroneves had built up almost a 2-second margin, but right now he's not able to shake Weldon. There's only less than 0.4 of a second between first and second.
You see Dixon right there coming off of turn 2. He tried to sneak down to the inside. He tried to get that little momentum, get by Franchitti going into turns 3 and 4. Did not have enough speed. Just had to back out and let him go.
Well, we would like to see a green flag race pit stop here because so many of the pit stops over the past 3 seasons have been under yellow.
Yeah, but you know, this is a teamwork sport. The ground that you lose in the pits is absolutely crucial, and it's very difficult. Ooh, you can see right there he ran through that white stuff. Sounded like he got out of the throttle a little bit. He might have got a little loose. And there goes.
There goes Dixon.
Yep. Got by him. He just
breathed that Honda engine for just a moment.
Yep. Looked like when he come off of 4 that time, for whatever reason, he got a little high. He had to get out of the throttle. Boy, and when he did, he gave Dixon that little bit of extra momentum, and Dixon took advantage of it.
Here comes Hornish. Hornish is not... he was quick in practice, had that practice crash. They switched to a backup car, which had been his road race car at St. Petersburg. And he's laboring back there in 6th position.
Yeah, he's... this car is definitely not going to be as good as his other car.
That's not the car that they want to run on this kind of a racetrack.
No, not the car that they would choose to run here. Doing pretty well with it, but
I'm surprised with as many cars that Penske has that he'd take the road race car and bring it over here for a backup.
Can't answer that one. Don't have a clue why they did that. But
there's a look at Castroneves. His lead now up to 0.6 of a second.
Well, Castroneves has been the dominant guy here all weekend long. From the time they unloaded all did well.
And had they qualified, Larry, realistically, he had the best shot at the pole position.
Yeah, I was going to say all through practice, but really they only had 2 practice sessions. One was very short on Thursday, and then one on Friday was about an hour, between an hour and a half long. So
here's the battle for 7th as Herta about to be kicked back to 8th position by Buddy Rice. Buddy made that look easy.
Yeah, Buddy Rice, remember, he had to start deep in the field because he missed that very first race. He started back in 18th spot.
18th spot.
So he's come a long way up through the field.
Up to 7th now. His teammate Danica is now 9th. She started 14th. But this race has a long way to go. We're on lap 71 right now, 200 scheduled.
This is actually one of the best races we've seen Buddy Rice have in a while. I mean, he's run pretty good, but I don't think we've seen him pass this many cars, be this aggressive for quite some time. So this may be a good thing for him heading into Indianapolis. We talked about momentum. If you can come from 18th and finish in the top 5, you'd have to consider that a really huge.
Of course, he won Indianapolis 2 years ago, then he sit out last year with an injury.
Right. But to go into Indianapolis with gaining that many spots, running that well, would be a huge moral victory for Team Rahal.
Indianapolis, Larry, you've been there. You were Rookie of the Year in 1978. It's such a psychological event. It's an all-month-long thing. And it's not just what happens on the racetrack, but there's so much other activity away from the racetrack that can really divert your attention.
There's no race in the world that I can imagine that is more mentally straining and for a longer period of time, because you're right. Every day you go out, you practice there, and in the sunshine, the temperature of the track, very, very small changes in the race car can all make 1-2 miles an hour difference in Indianapolis. It's different than any other racetrack in the country. The very slightest changes can make a huge difference in speed. And although it's supposed to be 4 corners that are exactly alike, there are 4 corners that are very different. And especially when you're trying to gain thousandths of a second per lap, there's a huge difference, and you've got to be able to get through all 4 of those corners. And nowadays, you've got to be able to get through them flat out.
Well, aside from the activity on the racetrack, now with sponsor commitments, these drivers are busy virtually every day of the month of May.
Oh, there's no question about it. Their sponsor responsibilities, plus what they have to do with the teams. I mean, they're there. The track opens at 11. They're there every morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. They don't leave till 6 o'clock at night, sometimes later than that. Then they have to go do sponsor things. They're basically busy from 6 in the morning till 9 or 10 o'clock at night every day.
There's 75 between the laps, and still Elio Castroneves. Weldon rides in second. Keep in mind that first race of the year at Homestead, Castroneves looked like he had it, and Weldon ran second for a long time until the very last lap.
Well, that's right. Weldon just sat there, and finally, right at the very end, he knew what he had to do, and he did it at the time when he had to do it. He was that was one of the smartest races I've ever seen Dan Weldon run, quite honestly, because he knew that he wasn't the fastest guy, but if he could get in the lead at the right time, he could win that race, and that's exactly what he did.
Watching Vito Mira back in 12th position and Marco Andretti back in 13th.
Well, Marco Andretti right now just kind of getting some laps in. As we said, he's had some trouble the first couple of races. What he wants to do is finish this race. Make sure he gets his pit stops done correctly, gets in and out of the pits at a good speed. He's got a lot of things. His dad's been talking to him, I'm sure, about what he needs to do here. And he's just trying to get the laps in, make sure that he can learn absolutely everything he can before he goes to Indianapolis, because to this point, with this being the third race, he has not learned a lot about pit stops or strategy or racing on the racetrack. So that's what he wants to do here today.
And of course, simply by having the birth name of Andretti, it puts the spotlight directly on him.
Well, there's no question that it's much tougher for him than it would be for Jeff Simmons or P.J. Cheston because of the name and the people that he's got to, the name that he has to uphold.
And you know the kid comes in with the very best equipment available to him or to anybody else for that matter. So super pressure on this 19-year-old youngster. That's Schechter on the left of your screen. As you take a look at the top 5 right now, Castro, Evans, Weldon, Kanaan, Dixon, and Franchitti. You were watching Schechter out there in car number 2 back in the 11th position. One of the Vision race cars, a teammate to Ed Carpenter. Has talked about Tony George, the owner of this race team, and Patrick Dempsey, the Hollywood actor, who's a co-owner now, talking about putting a 3rd car in this year's Indy 500.
Scott Dixon, we're taking a look at Franchitti and Hornish right now. Scott Dixon's gotten around both of these guys, so after that pit stop and losing 3 spots, he's gained 2 of those back. So Scott Dixon again looks very strong.
Now.
Yeah, he's in 4th, so he again looks very, very strong, and on the racetrack has been very, very quick all day long.
You know, he won the title 3 years ago and then simply just disappeared from action. I mean, it was almost like he was there, but he was AWOL.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They did not have very good luck the last 2 years. Last year, of course, with the Toyota engines, it just appeared like they struggled immensely all year long, except there at Watkins Glen, so...
We only had 4 leaders in this race back 2 years ago in 2004. So far, only 2 leaders in this year's race.
Well, the first 4 or 5 guys have all been in the hunt. We've only had 2 leaders, but the first 4 or 5 guys, Castroneves, Weldon, Kanaan, Dixon, Franchitti, and Hornish, those first 6 really have all been right in the hunt, been very close to the front most of the day. And still all 6 of those guys, and Buddy Rice now in 7th appears that he...
well, look at Patrick in 8th.
Yeah, I mean, Buddy Rice is running laps as quick as anybody up front, so he could be a real dark horse in this thing after starting way back in 18th spot.
There's the Andretti Green Racing Team with Kanaan now 3rd, Franchitti is 5th, Herta is 9th. Marco is 13th, but again, as we talked about before, Marco's responsibility today is just to go out there and run clean and run the entire race.
Right. Thomas Schechter, even though he's pretty far back, he's been running some of the quickest laps on the racetrack here the last few laps. So whatever has been his problem, maybe they're getting it straightened out because he has been running some very quick laps.
Well, Sam Hornish had the quickest lap the last time. Then Rice was 2nd fast, and Franchitti was 3rd on that last circuit. It's been 44 laps since the last pit stop, but a number of those were under yellow, so we're not close to a pit stop yet.
Yeah, Hornish right now seems to be gaining on Franchitti. He especially gets through 1 and 2. Down the back straightaway a little stronger than Franchitti does. So
you talked early on, Larry, about as you burn off the fuel and the weight changes, the tires start to wear out, the handling totally changes through this entire run.
Well, and that's right, and it appears that Franchitti did make some changes. Remember, the first segment he was very quick. He moved up way from the back of the pack. He was a contender for the lead, but whatever they changed, either they changed something on the car or they might have gotten a bad set of tires. And when we say a bad set of tires, we don't mean the tires are necessarily bad as in, you know, too hard or whatever. They're just not a match set. The stagger goes away. And they measure these things in tenths of an inch in circumference. So, you know, a tenth of an inch in circumference can make a huge difference in an IndyCar. Oh, here's Buddy Rice in the pits.
Buddy Rice, an unscheduled pit stop, although they were set up for it. Well, maybe
looks like
it is scheduled because here comes Danica. Well, they'll be out of sequence. Interesting pit strategy. Routine stop, no adjustments.
They both put in a fuel. Looks like both of them made pit stops about the same amount of time. So
there was no adjustment to the front wing on Danica's car. There's Danica. There's Buddy up in front of her. They will likely go a lap off the pace.
And you can hear as soon as you pass that last line, you're limited in speed, 60 miles an hour. If you pass that last line, you could hear her pick up the throttle as soon as she got through there. So it looks like we've got more pit stops coming. Everybody's
now I was totally wrong because we had all those laps under yellow, and I thought it'd be a while before we saw pit stops. Here's Hornish.
Yeah, I was like you.
We're actually seeing green flag pit stops.
Yeah, after that many yellow flags, you would have thought.
Here comes Weldon.
So everybody's making green flag pit stops. You said you wanted to see some. Well, you're seeing
We're going to see it now.
We'll see how quickly Weldon can get in and out. Hornish.
So these guys have to hope that the green stays out and everybody makes a green flag pit stop.
Yeah, it looks like, well,
here comes your leader.
Everybody
and that
pretty
gives
much
the lead to Kanaan.
Everybody pretty much on the same pit strategy. Nobody appears to be able to stay out there all that much longer than anybody else.
Well, they all are running the same Honda, so the fuel mileage should be pretty comparable.
Yeah, but remember last year when we had the 4 Andretti green cars, everybody always talked about how much better Weldon was at fuel mileage than almost anybody else on the team. Even though they all had identical cars, seemed like he always could squeeze another lap or two out of his tank of fuel than any of the other teammates.
Well, Dixon just assumed the pole, and look who's in second because of pit stops. Schechter is up in second position.
Schechter...
as we approach the halfway point, 97 laps now will be complete the next time by.
Mira's up to third. Remember, Mira's one of them that came in and got fuel late in the session.
Also Andretti.
And here comes Marco Andretti. He's already coming into the pits. So I think this is a case where he just wanted to make sure he gets in and out and didn't want to take any chances. Misses Mark a little bit. You can see the crew members having to scoot down. That doesn't look like a big mistake, but when you're talking about fractions of a second, that could mean the difference between a couple positions in the racetrack, especially in a place like Indianapolis.
Well, Dixon comes in. That gives the lead to Schechter. Cycle back through, and Casper Nevitz will have the lead.
Well, slight wing adjustment. That was pretty quick. It didn't seem like they took as much fuel as maybe everybody else did, because he got a little wiggly right there as he hit the throttle when he got to that line. You can see that thing wiggle back and forth as we take a look at Schechter, who's now leading.
Well, Schechter, Mira, Giafoni, then Castro Nevitz. So then when those top three make their next pit stop, they'll go back to the top spot. We haven't called Schechter's name as the leader here for a while, have we?
No, we haven't, and really it's unbelievable because he has been such a good racer over the last several years. It seems like he should have won a lot of races, hasn't won as many. He got kind of a bad rap there for a while. Larry comes into the pits. He can't stay out much longer.
Well, that would give the lead to Vito Mira. Mira does not follow into the pits. Mira was back 5 seconds behind in second position. Schechter makes his stop as they complete lap 100, half the race down. Casper Nevitz will eventually get this lead back once Vito makes his. Yeah, once it cycles through and Vito Mira makes his pit stop.
Schechter again.
It's hard to leave too soon.
Got a little anxious. And almost that could have been a real disaster. That could have ended his day as if he hadn't got back on the brakes and stopped so they could get that fuel hose out of there. He pulls that fuel hose out of the side of the car, and then he's in trouble.
Well, Castro Nevitz goes back in front to lead the third time this afternoon.
And
he's only got to lead 7 laps.
And really, he got a huge advantage on that pit stop.
Yeah, like a 14-second lead over Dixon.
Got a huge advantage on the pit stop. So he again.
Well, now it's down to 4.3 seconds.
But still, that's a lot of time. He didn't have that big. He gained over a second. And look at this.
That's Franchitti to the inside of Kanaan for third position.
He made that look easy. It looks like he's whatever he had trouble with in that second segment, he's pretty much cured that this time out. He again is going forwards instead of backwards. That whole second segment, he slowly but surely went backward. He lost position after position after position. Now then, he's moved back up and he's in third spot.
Well, let's see now if he can pedal on, catch Dixon. He's about 2 seconds behind Scott Dixon right now for a battle for second position. Castro Nevitz now with a 4-second lead over Dixon. Lap 103.
You can see Franchitti.
Canaan finally led a lap for the first time this season. Led lap 94, and then he made his pit stop, and Dixon took the lead for 2 laps. Schechter then led for 3 laps until Castroneves cycled back around and he's on the top spot.
Right now, Canaan's just following his teammate, kind of going to school, just trying to stay up with him, following towards the front. But Franchitti appears to be one of the quicker cars on the racetrack.
Well, Dixon that last lap quicker than Castroneves. Dixon gained ever so slightly. Laps now complete. Castroneves continues to lead, third time this afternoon that he has led. There's your average speed. The team cars have been on the lead lap. We've had 2 cautions for 24 laps. So far, 5 different leaders.
Cars on the lead lap. That's a very interesting figure. 13 out of the 15 cars are still on the lead laps, which means all of them are pretty quick.
You saw the drivers out of the race so far. Jeff Simmons and Ed Carpenter, PJ Chesson, Tomas Inke, and Scott Sharp. The only 2 drivers on the track not on the lead lap would be Giafone, who's a lap back, and Buddy Lazier, who's 2 laps off the pace. And you see Castroneves has led now 96 laps. Weldon 5, Schechter 3. Dixon also was credited for leading a lap.
Well, it's so far been a pretty interesting race. Most, all 3 of the teams that you would expect to be up front have been. Penske, Ganassi, and Team Green have all 3 been near the front. Ray Hall, even though they haven't been up front, their cars have been pretty quick, especially Buddy Rice has been pretty quick. They just had to start so far back in the field, they haven't been able to work their way up much above 6th or 7th place.
You see Franchitti, Canaan, and Weldon. That's 3rd, 4th, and 5th. As you're wide with Weldon now on lap 112. This is the fast sweeping 1 and 2 where it's flat out. If you stay on this shot, you'll see him go to the gear shift and downshift into turn 3.
Weldon, once he caught these guys, he just couldn't make the pass. He caught them fairly quickly. But once you get up there, you get to going through those corners and get that disturbed air. It makes it much more difficult to keep running the speed you've been running before you caught them. So he's caught them. Now then he's trying to figure out what to do to get around them.
Dixon, who's riding in 2nd position, was the fastest that last lap, and he's closed down within 3 seconds on your leader. There's Weldon. That's in that battle for 4th position. Weldon won this race last year and the year before. Of course, last year he won 6 races en route to his IndyCar Series championship, including the Indianapolis 500.
Again, it looks like Franchitti, for whatever reason, the longer he runs in each segment, the slower the car gets. I thought they'd made some changes and it was a lot quicker, but it looked like Canaan was going to try to make the pass.
Had a look to the inside, but didn't have the momentum to get it done.
Yeah, and it may cost him, because if he has to get out of the throttle when he tries that move, then he's going to give Weldon the advantage, and that's
here he comes,
exactly
right there on the inside.
He got down there, and when he couldn't make the pass, he had to lift, because he went in that corner so low, he had to pinch the car a little bit. And when he pinched the car, you got to get out of the throttle, and just gave Weldon that little bit of momentum to make that pass.
Well, Canaan thought about going back to the inside, but did not have the speed to do it. So Weldon takes 4th position. Canaan drops to 5th. 6th is still Hornish. 7th is Herta. Rice is 8th, and Patrick is 9th. Schechter now is in 10th position. That last lap, Weldon was the quickest.
Well, he had the momentum. He took advantage of it when Canaan tried to make the pass and couldn't, and had to get out of the throttle just ever so slightly. Dan Weldon was right there to take advantage of it. And it appears again that 20 laps into this segment, Franchitti is not as quick now as he was during the first 10 or 15 laps of this segment.
Well, Weldon was the fastest that last lap. And I will tell you that Dixon, at one time, there was a 5-second interval between 1st and 2nd. It's down to under 3 seconds right now, so Dixon is on the move, and he may have something for Castroneves.
Well, the one thing that it appears Team Ganassi, both Dixon and Weldon have done is they are fast at the end of the segments. The second half of the segment after the pit stops, they are faster than they are the first part. And of course, that's what you want to be going into that last, after that last green flag. You want to be the fastest guy on the racetrack the last 10 laps of the race.
Back from Weldon's car.
Well, that's Franchitti.
But Franchitti looking back to Weldon. Kanan behind Weldon.
Yeah, once he got around Kanan, he's just been kind of riding there. We'll take a look back here as Marco Andretti about to be lapped. They give that kid a lot of credit. He's run a lot of laps here and
still on the lead lap.
Yeah, still on the lead lap. So
let's see how difficult he makes it on this leader to go around.
Well, and I think that's exactly what his dad wanted him to do. Get some laps, run as fast as you can, and it appears he's done everything he was supposed to do here today.
Once again, Andretti in 13th position, the last car on the lead lap.
And you can see Castroneves is gaining on him, but it's not coming up and just blowing on by. He's creeping up on him.
If he has any difficulty, though, look at this. Dixon is closing from second.
Well, and that's one of the things when you start getting into lap traffic or following cars, it's more difficult to maintain your speed. Just the disturbance in the air alone, by getting the closer you get to the cars, the more disturbed the air gets. So, and there you see how close it is. It's not even a quarter of a straightaway. And look at this, the first 5 guys all within one
straightaway.
Yeah, first 8 guys really.
Working on 122 laps now, 200 laps scheduled event here in Motegi. The lead now is down to 1.5 seconds. And Castroneves, well, at one point it looked like he's really going to dispatch Marco. Marco giving the move over flag.
But he's not close enough for Marco to be moving over yet. He's still 10, 12 car lengths back, so he's catching him. But it's
well, if he doesn't clear Marco here in a few laps, he's going to have Dixon breathing down here.
Well, they've still got 2 more. They've still got 2 more pit stops to come. They're going to have to make at least 2 more pit stops. So that will depend. And here you see Marco, he himself lapping a car.
He's trying to get by.
Looks like
Buddy Lazier.
So Lazier's been very slow all day long. He appears not to even be in the hunt here today for whatever reason.
So he stays up high, and Castroneves goes on by. In the meantime, Dixon's close to within just over a second. The last lap, Weldon was the fastest. Franchitti second, and Dixon was third.
Castroneves still running some very quick laps, even though the last time when he was in the traffic he slowed down a little bit. He's still running some pretty quick laps. Dixon might catch him, but to get around him is going to be a whole new ballgame.
There's Weldon with the fastest lap of the race on lap 120. Weldon now back in 4th position.
Lap 20 is not too long ago, so that means he's the fastest car on the racetrack right now, without a question. Last time around, he was the fastest car again.
Well, Dixon had closed within 1.1 seconds. Now it's back to 1.3. You see him shifting gears from Weldon now. Lap 126.
It's his former teammate
right out in front of him. And see the move over flag being displayed for Buddy Lazier. Uh-oh, is this scheduled? Only 32 laps since his last pit stop, and this is Tony Kanaan. This cannot be scheduled.
It could be. It's there appears to be a scheduled pit stop. He's the first one, though, to make that pit stop, and that's he might have had handling problems. He decided to come in a couple of laps early just to change whatever was wrong with the car, so he wouldn't be at any bigger disadvantage. That happens once in a while. He does appear that he made it, 2 or 3 laps early, but most of these guys are going to be coming in here probably the next 3 or 4 laps.
Castroneves enjoying a 1.1 second lead over Dixon. Franchitti third, Weldon fourth, Hornish now is fifth, Hurt is sixth, Rice is seventh, Patrick is eighth, ninth is Schechter, 10th is Masura. Those in the lead lap, including Mira, is 11th, Andretti is 12th.
And here comes Weldon. Let's see if he can make the pass.
Off the pace when he made the pit stop.
Well, you could see that coming as he got through 2 and came off of 2. He was right. When you come off of 2, if you're tucked up right under a guy's wing, look out, because you're in trouble, because they get that little bit of pull down that back straightaway.
Little toe.
Yeah, a little toe, and then just pull to the inside. And once you get to the inside, the guy's got to give you room. Trying to go side by side down there, you can do it. We've seen it do it. Seen you do it. We've seen them do it before. Seen Sam Hornish do it before, but not very many people try to be out there.
Weldon on lap 129 just clocked the fastest lap of the race.
Well, I don't doubt it. He was very, very quick, man. When he got around Franchitti, he did a perfect job of setting him up, coming off of turn 2. Was tucked right under that wing, and here comes Hurta into the pits. So looks like Team Green are the first cars in the pits on this segment.
The lead is right at 1 second between Castroneves and Dixon. Weldon in third position, 3.1 seconds back. Then Franchitti, Hornish, Hurta, and Rice. Hurta, of course, will drop out of that top 6 position because of his pit stop.
That appeared to be a pretty good pit stop.
Finally, Castroneves goes around Andretti. So Marco goes a lap down, and he's back in the 11th position.
131 laps, so to do it, that's a pretty good run.
That's improvement.
Pretty good run.
With the rookies, of course, Simmons is out of the race, Cheston's out of the race, so Marco is the only rookie out there running right now, and he's in 11th position.
You can see right there, Marco just moved up, let Dixon go by him. He was not challenging him whatsoever, as he does not want to get in a position to cause any problems in this race, even though that was not one of his teammates that he just let go by.
Well, Dixon had closed within under a second. Now it's just back over a second, but Weldon's the quick one right now. Weldon continues to be the fastest out there. Now he's within 2 seconds of the leader.
Yeah, and he just
we have a pit stop coming up, though.
He just went around Marco, so he's gaining on both his teammate Scott Dixon and Castroneves, the leader.
When was the last time we talked about Ganassi's teammates running second and third?
Well, it's
not last season.
Not last season. It wasn't last season for sure.
It wasn't the season before either. But we knew what was going to happen, Larry, when it was announced that all these cars would have Honda power plants. We expected this kind of competition.
It certainly changed the playing field. There's no question about it. Team Green, Team Rahal, they've had a huge advantage, and now that they don't have that engine advantage anymore, it's made some huge changes in what's happening on the racetrack. Some of the guys are real happy about it. Some of them aren't so happy.
Well, Weldon continues to turn in the fastest laps of the race, back in third position. Riding along with Matsura in our live coverage from Twin Ring Motegi. The Indy Japan 300 working lap 140 of the scheduled 200. Matsura now back in 9th position.
Yeah, he started out very strong. He after the first pit stop, though, he hasn't been as strong since. He ran into about the 6th spot there most of the first segment, and then has not been that strong since, as Danica Patrick heads for the pits for her scheduled pit stop.
You know, Larry...
Oops, she made a mistake right there, too.
With a yellow, these guys may make it on one more stop. Well, we talked about a 2-stop race. Look at this. Dixon just takes the lead from Castroneves.
Nope, he finally let him go.
Nope, didn't take the lead, but he was right there.
He was right there. He was on the outside. That just shows you how badly they don't want to be on the outside. Castroneves protected the inside. Dixon had him, was even with him on the outside, but he would rather back out and pull down than go on the outside through 3 and 4.
Well, both Patrick and Rice now making their pit stop. They'll have to make one more stop. 59 laps to go. It's been 47 since the last pit stop. I tell you what, Larry, with a couple of yellows or so, they may make it on one more stop.
Well, they may. Maybe that's exactly why they're staying out there, trying to stretch it to make it in one more stop. I'm a little surprised that they've gone this many laps without making a pit stop, to be honest with you.
The last yellow was back on lap 52, so they didn't have a yellow during this run. 143, 57 laps to go, and they've gone 49 since the last pit stop, so it's going to be very close.
Yeah.
There's Hornish.
Hornish couldn't stand it anymore. He had to come in and get some fuel.
Well, that was a call by Roger, staggering his drivers. Weldon now has Weldon within a second up here, about 9/10 of a second back. Franchitti is in fourth position, but he's about 4 seconds off the pace.
And remember, fuel played a part in this race last year, so it might do that again.
Weldon.
Because they're so close to being able to make it without another pit stop, but without yellows, I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
Well, Castroneves now has gone 50 laps. 55 laps to go, so he would take, what, 10, 12 laps of yellow?
Probably so. The last pit stop in any case will be if it's under green. Oh! Franchitti just hit his crew guys. He went into the pits. The fuel guy, two of them down. Two guys down.
And we were on board when that happened.
Appears one of them is at least back up. The other one is still down. I don't think they got any fuel in. They haven't got any fuel in. This fueler is the guy who is down. They've changed the tires, but they don't have any fuel in it. He can't go back out without fuel. Now then they're trying to get their fuel guy out of the way so that they can get fuel in the car. This will cost him any chance he has of winning this race because he'll go a lap down to everybody else, and that's a huge error by Dario Franchitti.
Well, in all this, as we're watching that action, Dixon just took the lead over Castroneves.
You can see
Castroneves came into the pits. Dixon's gone 50 laps, so
he's in some pain.
All right, Dixon has gone 51 laps now since his last pit stop, and there are 52 laps to go. So a yellow, and Dixon could make it on one stop.
I believe that's Corey McLeish, the fueler for Franchitti, who's still
Here comes Dixon.
in some pain down there. So Dixon's going to be very close to being able to make it to the end. So we'll see how this all plays out.
He went 52 laps, and there are 51 laps left.
Yeah, and the last, and it depends on how lean they went. They can probably go lean. See how fast they come in there? These guys are coming in there pretty quick, and those guys are very close. A very slight error can make a huge difference. He killed the engine.
He killed the engine.
Well, this is another instance where an error.
Veteran driver makes a mistake.
An error is going to make a huge difference.
And this is all.
He might have transmission. He's got transmission trouble. I don't think it's an engine trouble. I think it's either clutch trouble or transmission trouble. This appears to be a mechanical problem, but not his fault. As you can see him throwing his tear-offs out the side. Yeah, it's either the clutch. I don't think he's got first gear. Sounded like he was pulling out in second gear, and he looks like he lost first gear and had to pull out in second gear, and that's the reason he had so much trouble and he killed the engine.
Well, Castroneves is back in front on lap 150. Vito Mira did lead a lap before he came in for his pit stop. Now, the question is, can these guys lean it out and go the distance?
Well, it looked like right there, one of the Vision cars was out of fuel. because he tried to stretch it too far.
Well, Weldon is in second. Hornish is now third. Kanaan fourth. Herta fifth. Rice is sixth. Patrick is seventh. Matsura is eighth. Mira is ninth. Those 9 are on the lead lap. Dixon lost a lap. Franchitti lost a lap. You saw why Franchitti lost a lap, because he didn't have the fuel line connected because he hit the fueler. And Dixon had the problem with the stalled engine.
Well, right now, Weldon is looking like the guy, as he has so many times. You know, I say so many. At least early this year, he seems to get stronger and stronger as the race goes on. He did that a few times last year. Didn't appear to be in the hunt until about halfway, and then all of a sudden, he's right in the middle of all the action. And that's happening here again today.
Castroneves has opened up about a half-second advantage. It was down to just basically nose to tail. Hornish, though, the big winner on that round of pit stops. He's up to third. So Castroneves once again has led the most laps here this afternoon. A third yellow of the afternoon as Giafoni was just placed another lap off the pace. Giafoni was 2 laps off the pace, and the car just did not steer, did not turn.
That was a case where he got caught on the outside down there in 3 and 4. You don't have to be but about a car and a half off the pole to get into the marbles up there. He got in those marbles. Once those marbles got on the tires, that car absolutely would not turn. So, you know, it was a case where he got stuck on the outside going into turn number 3, didn't get it back to the bottom in time, and because he couldn't get it to the bottom, you know, coming off of 4, that thing wouldn't turn. He knew he was in trouble. He tried to slow it down. He banged the wall a little bit. He tried to keep it straight, but just nothing he could do once he got all those marbles on the tires.
You saw AJ's longtime PR lady, Ann Finoro, from a rather famous racing family, the Finoros, from out on the east coast of the United States. Ann's been with AJ for many, many years. Here's a look again.
You can see,
just pushed right up there and caught the fence.
Yeah, he was trying to get her woed. He was trying to get her turned.
But he had no steering at that point.
No, had no steering.
Here it comes again. He just got lapped.
You can see him on the outside. He's coming off the corner. And once you're out there in that gray stuff, you're toast. You're going to hit the fence. And
you can see the safer, good shot of the safer barrier right there. And Giafoni is out of the car. He's okay. He'll be in this ride for the season. But our third yellow of the afternoon comes on lap 159. Our last yellow ended at lap 52, over 100 laps of green flag racing. Our live coverage continues. We remain under the third yellow of the afternoon. This is for that one car crash involving,
well, it might be
number 14.
There you can see again as he just got out in that gray stuff. He barely glanced off the wall. Didn't look like he hit the wall that hard, but it certainly tore off both right side tire, you know, damaged both of them very badly. Right there, it just started going straight right there coming off of 4. He hit it.
Not a real hard impact.
No, it wasn't a very hard impact, but it doesn't take much. As you can see, everybody heading for the pits.
So that's going to be a trophy dash to the finish with Castroneves, Weldon, and Hornish. Of course, Hornish had moved up to third position. And this will bunch them all up behind the pace car for this restart.
Well,
of course, since they unloaded from the hauler, it has been Castroneves. He's been the guy to beat all week, even with limited practice and no qualifying.
And you know, these first 3 guys did not.
They did not come in. Everybody else did. Mira stayed out. Dixon stayed out.
So these guys decided that they had enough fuel to make it to the end. I
don't know. Hornish has gone 20 laps. That would put him at about 57, 58 laps.
Well, they made the choice now. Everybody else has come in.
They had their computers and their calculators there in the pit area.
Yep, they certainly did. So
Castroneves has gone 16 laps, 15 without a pit stop, 19 for Weldon and 21 for Hornish. And this will not be a lengthy yellow.
No, it shouldn't be. But still, Castroneves was close to making it anyway. I thought Weldon and Hornish would both
Well, there's 3 laps difference since the last pit stop. Hornish actually 21, 19 for Weldon and 16 for Castroneves. So we'll see how this pit strategy plays out as they're working on lap 164 under yellow. Castro, good overview of the racetrack as Castroneves continues to lead the thing. He's led the most laps, and he'll pick up the 3 bonus points. Weldon in second, Hornish third in the restart, then Kanaan and Buddy Rice.
Well, Kanaan and Rice both did make pit stops. The first 3 guys did not make pit stops, so it'll be interesting to see if that plays.
Well, you know that the captain has a sharp calculator down there.
Yeah, he's got a sharp pencil. He knows exactly where he's at. Castroneves, I would have thought he had a pretty good chance of going all the way, but boy, Hornish looks pretty risky for him to me, but what do I know?
Well, we're going to play it out right here because we're going to take the green flag in 1 lap. So the green flag will come out when they complete lap 167, and that will give us 33 laps to decide this thing. There's a look at Hornish. He'll restart in third. So it's Castroneves, Weldon, Hornish, Kanaan, Rice, Herta, Patrick, Matsuura. Those 8 drivers are on the lead lap. Mir's a lap off the pace in 9th. 10th is Dixon, a lap off the pace. Andretti is 11th, a lap off the pace. Franchitti is 12th, a lap off the pace. Schechter now is 4 laps off the pace. And Buddy Lazier is 4 laps off the pace. Out of the race, Giafone, Sharp, Chesson, Simmons, Inge, and Carpenter.
Well, the first 3 should have there's some lap cars mixed in back there with Kanaan and so forth. So the first 3 guys should break away to a little bit of a lead while Kanaan and Rice sort themselves through the lap traffic. So we'll see if...
oh, look at Weldon.
Well, Weldon's going to go for it right off the bat. You can bet that he wants to get the lead here in the first 2 laps after this restart.
Scrabble for position. You see some of the lap cars there.
3 or 4 lap
leaders.
Cars.
That's Marco in the blue and white car.
Yeah, Kanaan got by him. Hornish is behind about 3 or 4 lap cars too, so there's a lot of lap cars. Weldon and Castroneves are up there pretty much by themselves right now.
There's Buddy Rice and Danica Patrick right together on the racetrack. Here comes Schechter to the inside. Schechter, there's some 4 laps off the pace. That black and silver car.
Hornish right behind him. Kanaan's a little ways back in the field there in the pack. And there you can see.
Can't figure out where he went, or Hornish could figure out where he wanted to go.
Well, he doesn't want to go to the outside down there, I can tell you that. So he decided not to, and he fell back in. And that look how much ground Kanaan gained on him when he had to get out of the throttle down there. Kanaan's going to go right on by him because he had to get out of the throttle when he caught up with those lap cars and he couldn't get by him.
Well, that's Dixon out in front, but Dixon's a lap off the pace back in 10th position.
Right, and that's why Dixon's fast. He's just lost all that ground when he couldn't get out of the pits. So when Hornish got up behind him, tried to move out and get by, he couldn't, had to get out of the throttle, and he lost a spot because of it.
170 now complete, 30 laps to go. The gap is just under a second. And here comes Kanaan. Kanaan now back in 3rd position. Hornish is 4th. Herta is 5th. Rice is 6th. Matsuura has gotten around Patrick for 7th. Patrick is now 8th. So 8 drivers on the lead lap.
Well, Matsuura looks like he's a man on the move back there as he looked like he's all over Rice right there in that last shot.
Would this place ever go wild if he could pull off a victory here this afternoon?
Yeah, he's...
there wouldn't be enough sake to go around. There'd be some hardcore celebrating.
He looks pretty quick after that last pit stop. You can see how well he gets off of turn 2. He's too far back, though. If he's right behind Rice when he comes off of there, he might have a chance. But being 3 car lengths back, you can't make that pass down the back straightaway.
He's tucked in between Rice and Patrick, the Ray Hall Letterman teammates, as you ride along down the front straightaway with Matsura, as they're working on lap 173 now, and he's riding back in the 7th position.
Flat out, but just not gaining all that much right now.
Castroneves, speaking of gaining, he has opened up a 1.1 second lead over Weldon, so it would appear if he has enough fuel, this is his race to win.
Well, you know, he's been the class of the field all along. There's no question about it. He's been the fastest guy on the racetrack. And if he can make it to the end, if he doesn't have to turn that thing down on the lean and slow up, then you're right. He's probably going to win this race. Weldon, though, he might be on the other strategy. He might have already turned his fuel down, trying to save a little bit, hoping that in the end, Castroneves will have to slow up a little bit. He can rich his up and go on up and challenge him at that point.
Right now, that gap is stabilized at 1.2 seconds. Nobody else even close. Cannon's in 3rd, but he's almost 4 seconds back. Hornish is in 4th position, over 4 seconds behind. So right now, the battle is between Castroneves and Weldon, and we simply don't know where the wick is in that cockpit, if it's turned up or turned down.
Well, that's right. There you can see Cannon, Hornish, and Herta. Those guys back there running 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They're very close to each other on the racetrack. But Castroneves pretty much got things under control at this point of the race.
And he also has 3 more laps of fuel than Weldon does. Now, Cannon, of course, has plenty of fuel, so he can really crank it up and go full rich. But in the meantime, Castroneves continues to open up a lead on Weldon. It's now gone to 1.4 seconds. So you may be right. He may be still on the hammer, and Weldon may be playing a little strategy game.
He's certainly fast right now. He hasn't slowed down one bit. So I would guess that the Penske crew figures that he's got plenty of fuel, and there's going to be no slowing down in this race.
Now there's the captain. Won well over 100 of these IndyCar races, 13 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Well, we talk about Franchitti and some of these other guys, Scott Sharp, who don't make mistakes very often, but they do happen once in a while. Roger Penske, as we've said, in all the years he's been doing this, he's won more races than anybody else, but he has made mistakes. He's not flawless, and I wouldn't think this
just less flawless than others.
Yeah, that's right. Just less flawless than others.
Who makes the fewest mistakes?
Yep. And he's certainly made fewer than most people have. Still incredible to me that they were so far off the mark that one year at Indianapolis.
But you know why? If you think about it, the year before they had that push rod Mercedes that had so much horsepower that it overcame what was a real stinker of a chassis. The next year, when they couldn't run the Mercedes, they had the same power plant everybody else did, and the chassis just was not very good, and they missed the show.
Well, but it still amazes me that
he could make that mistake.
That mistake, yeah, that mistake was not something you would expect from Roger Penske.
Another mistake he made was selling a brand new chassis to Pat Patrick when Pat's driver Emerson Fittipaldi went out and won the championship in a Penske chassis. I think that was the last time that Penske actually sold a new chassis.
I don't think he made that mistake again either. So.
Final 20 laps of this race.
Well, right now,
and the Weldon deficit is now 1.9 seconds.
Yeah, well, Dan Weldon has had a good run. He's run very strong all day, but there just hasn't been anybody in the same class as Castroneves today. He's been way superior to anybody else in the racetrack.
So you think he'd be the odds-on favorite next month at Indy to win his 3rd?
Well, I mean, you know, he's always been tough there, and
we've had rookie drivers that have won there, but never a driver to win his first 2 years there as he did.
Yeah, he's always been tough there. He likes the racetrack. You know, you have to like speed and precision. That's what Indianapolis is about. It's about speed and it's about precision. Castroneves is very good at both. Roger Penske is very good at both. Makes them an odds-on favorite. Hornish is, he likes the speed. So far, the precision part he hasn't got down too good.
The question we have right now at this racetrack is, can they go the distance without a fuel stop? So Castroneves continues to show his domination. He's picked up the 3 bonus points for leading the most laps. And right now, if Weldon has the wick turned down, it's time to turn it back up.
Yeah, I don't think I think they're all doing about what they can do. And here comes Buddy Rice. He's to the inside of Herta. Herta has to let him go.
That's for position. That is for the 5th position.
Well, Buddy Rice has been pretty strong all day long. And it looks like he's running some of his best laps. The last 2 segments have been his best too. The last half of this race has been much better. Even though he started out well, he started so deep in the field that he wasn't really a factor. But he passed about 10 cars in the first segment of this race. Got up to about 8th or 9th place, and then this kind of rode there. But boy, the last really 25 or 30 laps, he's come on pretty strong again.
Well, Castroneves certainly has it going his way. If he has enough fuel, it's going to be all his race, because he, with 12 laps to go, has almost a 4-second margin now over Weldon. And surprisingly, Larry, we have come to anticipate and expect in this racing league tight, almost photo finishes. And right now, it's all Castroneves, and you have to believe that he's going to be somebody to reckon with all season long.
Oh yeah, there's no question, and you do forget that once in a while you do have a race where somebody dominates. I mean, this league has been so good, and they've had so many races side by side, tenths and thousandths of a second apart, that when you see a race like this where a guy's got 4-second lead, it seems pretty unusual and almost unrealistic, really.
Well, he's picking up about 0.3 of a second per lap, so it's 4.5 seconds right now with 10 laps to go. At Sura, there's a Shuttleman. Sura back in 7th position. Patrick is 8th. Only 8 cars on the lead lap. Dixon is 9th, a lap off the pace. Mira is 10th, a lap back. Then Franchitti, Andretti, Schechter is now 4 laps off the pace in 13th position. Lazier's also 4 laps off the pace back in 14. Only 14 cars are now running.
Well, the interesting thing to me is going to see if Rice can catch Hornish and Kanaan, because he's right now quicker than either one of those guys and gaining on them every lap. So that's going to be the real race to see if Rice can move from 5th maybe to as high as 3rd before this race is over.
Well, you're right along with Masura back in 7th position. Really can't get a clear view. That's Herta out in front of him. Herta's in 6th. Rice is 5th. Down to 8 laps to go.
And this camera, we talked about how poor the vision is in these cars. That camera is mounted high above his head, so he doesn't get nearly that good a view of the track in front of him as the camera does. You can see the head and then the scoop, and then the camera is on top of all of that. So it's quite a bit higher. Those tires are really in your vision. That's one of the things.
You're actually driving down between the front tires.
Exactly. When you're looking out those mirrors, the tires take up about half of those mirrors, and those mirrors are only about 1 inch high and about maybe 3 inches wide. So there's not a lot of vision there to begin with.
6 laps to go. 194 now complete. And the lead is just, well, insurmountable unless he runs out of fuel, because over 5.5 seconds.
Yeah.
So he's putting a spanking on these boys this afternoon.
He certainly is. No question about it.
You talk about momentum going back to Indy.
Well,
as if the captain needs momentum.
As if they really need it, yeah. But you're right. They've got things pretty much their own way, and they'll be real happy heading into Indianapolis.
5 laps to go. The lead now is 5.7 seconds. There's Castroneves about to pick up his 2nd win of the year and his 2nd straight win. Look at how many laps. You talk about domination.
Yeah. Pit stops.
All but 16 laps this afternoon.
Yeah, I think he got passed one time in traffic early in the race. Was the only time anybody passed him on the racetrack all day long.
Well, get the fence ready. Spider-Man will be climbing again.
Well, he's deserved it here today. He deserves the chance because he's really had things going his own way. Very smooth, not a mistake by himself or by his crew on the pit stops, not a mistake on the racetrack. He did get past one time, but he was a smart thing to do. He was in some lap traffic. He just got out of the throttle and he lost that spot for a couple laps, but it was better than crashing at the time.
His 9th victory in this series, his 2nd this season. And of course, he gained the 3 bonus points for leading the most laps. 2 laps to go. The white flag will be unfurled the next time by, and his lead is now over 6.5 seconds.
He's got a quarter of a lap lead, so he's got a huge lead.
Brian Howard will bring out the white flag this time by. 1 lap to go for Helio Castroneves, and he is going to cruise to his 2nd straight victory of the season. Good way to start the season. He's had a 2nd and 2 first.
Yeah, there is 2nd place going across the line right there. So a huge lead. Nothing's going to change here unless a huge mechanical failure.
So Castroneves had 2 wins in 2nd, and Weldon's had 1 win in 2 seconds. And here come the dual checkered flags, and Spider-Man has won for the 2nd time this season. Here comes 2nd place. Weldon takes 2nd. The final margin was 6.3 seconds. Kanaan 3rd, Hornish 4th. Rice will take 5th. Hurd is 6th, 7th Matsura, 8th is Patrick. So Helio Castroneves, his 2nd win of the season, his 9th overall in his IndyCar Series career.
Well, he certainly deserved the win today. There's no question about it. I don't think anybody here would question the fact that he was the best guy on the racetrack all day long.
Yeah, this was no fluke. He was the guy to chase from the time they unloaded these cars.
You can see target team right there. They were packing up. They weren't extremely happy, but they've got to be fairly happy with their run here today. I mean, Weldon did a great job. You know, you're going to have days when you're just outclassed, and today was one of those days.
Well, and he answered the question, Larry. He went 53 laps. Hornish went 58 laps on that last tank of fuel.
Yeah, and I think he probably was soft pedaling a little bit there the last part of the race.
Well, here comes the climb. After 2 hours in a race car, he's got enough energy, and here comes the fence climb. And these Japanese fans are going to love this. He's going all the way up there. Now, of course, what would Roger do if he fell right there and broke something? He could not compete at Indianapolis.
That is right. Well, that's he started that trademark when his first win in Indianapolis, and it's never gone away.
Well, you gotta love his enthusiasm. The guy's fun to be around. He's always smiling. He's going to kiss his race car. Well, you know, he acts like it's his first win ever, and you love that enthusiasm from a veteran driver.
Well, he's such a personable guy, you know. Last races, I drove it like I stole it. And boy, he drives it that way. He drove it that way again here today, as he was very quick all day long.
Crew chief has been a part of much of the Penske success.
Well, we'll go down to
Roger Penske getting his very first win here at Motegi.
Dr. Jerry Punch.
Get in here, and Helio gets a towel to wipe off. And Helio, congratulations on a great effort. Hey, what was the key to this domination here today?
Like I drove in St. Pete. I drove like I stole it, so I was going for it. And these guys gave me a fantastic team. I mean, fantastic car. My team pick is awesome, and I didn't put anything wrong, and we just kept going. Ron, you did a hell of a job, man. And again, let's keep working hard. And it's just the beginning, man. Oh, I can't believe it. This is awesome. This is awesome.
You needed some yellow flag laps to be able to make it on fuel. It was going to be very, very close. What was going through your mind when you realized you might be 4 or 5 laps shy?
Well, I asked them about the rest of the guys, and they said they actually worse than me. So I was playing cool, to be honest, and my car was unbelievably special in the end of the run. So I was very confident on the end of the run. So it was one of those things that when it's your time, you know, nothing it can happen. So it was awesome.
What does this win mean now headed to the month of May in Indianapolis?
Wow, it's just carrying good momentum. You can't thinking about this is good and awesome. But the month of May, basically, it's itself. It's one race itself. So you have to think different. So so far we're going to keep our head what we're doing. It's been working, so let's not change it. So it's awesome.
Helio Castroneves picks up his second win of the year, 9th overall, and now he heads to the month of May where he wants Indy 500 win number 3.
Guys. Number 3, he won as a rookie, won as a sophomore. That had never been done before as a new driver wins the first 2 times out at Indy. You take a look at the unofficial finish with Castroneves with a big 6-second win over Weldon, Kanaan, Hornish, and Rice running on the top 5. The celebration continues as our live broadcast continues from Twin Ring Motegi, and boy, that's a hefty trophy. That rivals the Borg Warner Trophy at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, it doesn't look too light either. There's got a couple of guys underneath it holding it up. So
you know what? They don't speak his language. He doesn't speak their language, but they're communicating real well out there.
Yeah, he's a happy man. And the whole crew's pretty happy, but they deserved it. They all did a good job. Nobody made a miscue. We talked about the problems for Franchitti, Dixon, but this team didn't have any of those problems. Everything
he was trying to give the flowers back to the girl.
He wants the money and the trophies. He doesn't want the flowers.
No, he wants the points.
Oh, okay. But
that'll go a long way in helping him to clinch a title at year's end.
He's got his hat on backwards so he can kiss the trophy. That's always a good thing. But anyway, yeah, Indianapolis is a thing unto itself. There's no question about it. I think even though Team Penske has won here, they've been very good all year, they have to be considered the favorites. Boy, when you look at what Ganassi has done, it's hard to count those guys out either.
We'll go back to Dr. Jerry and Weldon.
Good points result. Obviously, we'd like to try and stop Helio from he's got the same streak going that I had, I think, last year. But, you know, I've been with Honda since 2002, and, you know, it's a great company to be part of, and it was just something that I could have had that was real special. So it was a shame from that standpoint. But, you know what, Helio deserved the win today. He was racing away from everybody. But I think this event is fantastic. There's a ton of fans here today, and it was a good race.
They were chasing the chassis for you a little bit throughout the afternoon. It seemed like it got better as the day went on. What were you trying to get worked out?
Yeah, I was a little bit up and down. I had a little bit of push to start with. So we put a little bit of front wing in, but then I think we went perhaps a little bit too far. So just kind of back and forth. But I think from a point standpoint, like I said, it's a pretty good result.
All right, good run. Good luck headed to May.
Thank you very much.
Dan.
And, of course, once again, they talk about the point situation. He's won 1 so far this season, finished second the other 2 outings.
Well, he's had a good run so far this year. Second best only to Castroneves.
Yes, Castroneves wins his 2nd in a row. Well, you take a look at the point standings as our live coverage continues, and Dan Weldon now 42 points behind, so the gap increases between first and second. Sam Hornish there in the 3rd spot. And, of course, we've talked a lot about the next race on our calendar, of course, is the Indianapolis 500. Dan Weldon won it last year. That helped propel him to the IndyCar Series Championship. That race finished the yellow last year, but Dan Weldon takes the victory, the first Englishman to win since Graham Hill won it back in 1966.
There he is.
Big swig of milk.
He was a happy man that day.
And today, back to live action. The salute continues around this racetrack, 1.5 miles in length, and Helio's enjoying every inch of it. As you take a look at the upcoming events, of course, the Indianapolis 500, the 90th running of that great event. Then we go to the Watkins Glen Road Course on June the 4th, back to Texas on June the 10th. As you take a look at the rest of the schedule through the race that ends the schedule on September the 10th in Chicago. So a whole lot of good racing yet to come this season. So our live coverage continues, and he's still saluting the fans, and the The crowd still standing as he's about to complete that victory lap, which, I'd like to see. I said earlier, I'd like to see this happen at every racetrack. We see it at Indianapolis. The fans stay to salute the winner. But we'd like to see this happen at everyone. Well, let's go back and hear from Tony Kanaan, who finished third here this afternoon.
He gets the comeback award for the day. TK having to make that unscheduled pit stop. First of all, what happened? We heard something about a tire or maybe losing some air.
Yeah, I mean, Kim said, hey, TK, we're losing a pound out of the right rear. 2 pounds, 3 pounds. I said, well, Kim, what do you think? Should we pit? He says, how bad is it? I said, I mean, I don't know if on the car it doesn't feel better, but on my head for sure it's terrible. So we decided to come in, and it was an early stop, but after that we made an adjustment and the car was flying.
You had one of the best cars today. If you had not had that little incident there, you think you'd have had something maybe for Elio or Dan or the guys up front?
Maybe for Dan. I don't know for Elio. I mean, if we can always wonder. But we had a competitive car. Unfortunately, we got some set downs, but I'll take third here and maybe first in the next one. That wouldn't be bad. But I got to thank Rusty because I heard, my mom already called me and said that he was cheering me up big time. So, Rusty, thanks for your support, man.
Hey, good run, man.
Thanks, Derek.
So, Larry, we head off to Indianapolis. What do you take from this event today?
Well, I take that Team Penske is going to be tough to beat as usual, but I think you also can take out of this that Team Green and Team Ganassi are going to be right there giving them everything they've got. It's going to be a long, grueling month, and again, a very, very exciting month. It's always that way. Mentally, very tough on the drivers.
And Rahal Letterman knows how to win. They won a couple of years ago.
Yeah, they've got Danica Patrick and Buddy Rice, both who proved to be very tough at that particular racetrack.
Well, our congratulations to the Penske group and Elio Castroneves, who takes the victory here this afternoon and sets himself up as the favorite as we head to the Indy Motor Speedway. This has been a presentation of ESPN in association with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Join us Sunday, May 28th from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for live coverage of the 90th running of the Indianapolis 500. For Larry Rice, I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us, and so long from Motegi, Japan.